Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Kelly. Um, what I'd like to do today is show that I can make content writing lively, creative, and engaging, that it doesn't have to be flat and dull. To do this, I'll read a couple of pieces I've recently written. I hope you'll find them engaging as well as informative. I'll begin with a profile I wrote for a client, Jerry Engelke, the president of Engelke Construction, which specializes in earth moving and similar heavy duty projects, who's being honored by the Healdsburg Museum, which asked him for a short bio of himself and his wife, Joanna, his co-honoree. Jerry Engelke has been moving earth, doing heavy construction site work since he graduated from high school in 1965. He started the first incarnation of his company in 1973 with a well-used tractor and some advice. Get used to being in debt. He founded the firm's present incarnation, Engelke Construction, in 2000. Born in 1947 to Lee and Mary Engelke, Jerry went to Felta School, now Westside Elementary, Healdsburg Junior High, and Healdsburg High School before studying for a time at Santa Rosa Junior College. And here I gave the same kind of information for his wife, Joanna. The couple's children, Chip, Brandy, and Lizzie, and their 7 grandchildren were all born and raised in Healdsburg or nearby. Jerry recalls enjoying boyhood rides on his dad's heavy equipment and always wanting to follow in his footsteps as a contractor. Growing up next door to his grandparents' ranch allowed him to learn the value of work. It also gave him the opportunity in first grade to learn to drive a Model T truck. By junior high school, he was driving tractors. Joanna also grew up on a ranch. Her parents, where among other experiences, she helped dehydrate prunes at harvest time. Fast forward to 1969, the beginning of over 3 decades as a secretary at Memorial Hospital in Santa Rosa. In 2001, she was promoted to vice president of Engelke Construction. Jerry credits his dad with showing him how to conduct business, building solid relationships, being fair in every transaction, and always working toward a win-win. He has since learned that knowledge can be expensive, but that mistakes provide the power to change course. Engelke Construction's many projects include several done for the benefit of Jerry and Joanna's hometown. Healdsburg Plaza Gazebo, the Carson Warner Skate Park, Little League Ball Field, and Healdsburg Recreation Park and Grandstands. Jerry served on the Engineering Contractors Association board for 5 years. In 2019, the ECA named him Contractor of the Year. He's also served on the Healdsburg Future Farmers Country Fair board. Earth-moving machinery was not the only equipment that sparked Jerry's youthful imagination. His dad, also a private pilot, would often take his kids up with him, which prompted Jerry to get his own pilot's license. Today, he and Joanna stick closer to the earth, enjoying gardening, camping, fishing, and family. Chip, Brandy, and nephews Rich and Jim, sons of Jerry's brother Dick, are now the ones who really do the company's heavy lifting, as Jerry puts it. Now I'll turn to something I wrote and published just a few days ago on my blog, a story which might prove to sound a cautionary note for sole proprietor and entrepreneurs like most of us. I've titled it, Who Wants to Scam a Writer? How far has the bar been lowered? Perhaps the all-time greatest scammer in history, Bernie Madoff, made a fortune by fleecing the rich and famous. That was over a decade ago. Today, the scammers are no longer setting their sights that high. They actually went after me, a content writer and editor whose earnings have never reached orbital altitude, for a paltry $4,000. Unfortunately for the scammers, their target was not only a writer, but also a researcher. I may be no sleuth in the mold of Sherlock Holmes, but I'm alert enough to smell something fishy when it comes within an inch or two of my nose. It all began with what looked like an innocent inquiry about my availability for a writing project. And here's what they wrote. I'm Jack Schmidt, an academic consultant. I have a speech distorting condition called apraxia. This is an aside. This is a rare condition that makes it difficult to talk. It's a great excuse for not taking questions over the phone. I got your contact details online. I need your service. Can you write an article on a specific topic for an upcoming workshop? The article is to be given as a handbook to the attendees of a workshop. I have a title for the article and have drafted an outline to guide you. Please get back to me for more information. I'm calling the scammer Jack Schmidt, not only to further disguise the false identity he gave me and protect myself from possible retaliation, but also to make it rhyme with Jack Shit, the sum total of his knowledge of how to pull the wool over a writer's eyes. When I said I might be interested, he wrote back asking for a 2,000-word article on social media, the benefits and risks. He promised to pay $1 a word with a $2,000 check to be delivered in advance of a comfortable 6-week deadline. In retrospect, I ought to have detected Jack's fishy aroma a little earlier. His messages contained a few clues, but I wanted the work, so I glossed over them. The giveaway came with Jack's advance payment, something I hardly ever request, which arrived in the form of a cashier's check for over $6,000, more than 3 times the promised amount. This was a clue even I could not fail to miss. I called my financial advisor to ask if this smelled fishy to him. The answer, absolutely. He'd seen it before. He said I could soon expect to hear back from Jack, apologizing for the mistake and requesting that I send him my own $4,000 check to return the overpayment. As a final test of the authenticity of Jack's check, my advisor suggested I deposit it in my bank account to see if it cleared. When I went to the bank, I brought with me not just the check, but a couple of messages from Jack that I could now see contained red flags. The brightest of these was something I had just discovered. I had tried to see what a Google search for Jack Schmidt would uncover. A simple search for the name turned nothing up. Then I added apraxia to the search terms, and I found a message just like the one Jack had initially sent to me. It was identical in every respect but one. It was signed by Tony Schmidt. The branch manager then called the Pennsylvania bank from which the cashier's check supposedly came, and sure enough, the bank's fraud department had told him the check was a fake. Jack sent several messages asking if I'd received his check, but I chose to keep him in suspense. First, I learned a couple of lessons out of this. First, just because you're a small fry in a low-profile job, don't imagine that scammers will pass you over in favor of juicier targets. Your money is as green as Warren Buffett's. Second, keep an eye peeled for Jack. Schmidts are everywhere, and they want you to step in it. Any questions? Any of you ever been the target of a scam?
We have just a couple of minutes. Anybody want to chime in? I received a lot of a text where somebody was asking for help that I knew. And I said, sure, what do you need? And I knew it started to not sound like them, but I led this person on to see where the angle was, and they needed some gift cards purchased right away and scratch off the numbers so they could get it to their real estate client. So they knew I was in the business and thought I would help somebody in need, but didn't happen.
Thank you, Jolene. I was the target of something like that too. Interesting.
Yeah, they're out there. Thank you, Howard. That was very informative. And thank you, Garrick. That was terrific.